Today we're walking through my credit card game plan for 2026. One thing I want to stress is that your mileage may vary. Where you live and your stage of life plays a pretty big role. I live in San Francisco, which is a very high cost of living city, where a $100K salary as an individual would mean that you're low income. The median salaries for tech are close to $300K, and even for financial analysts, the median is about $50K higher or 40% higher than the rest of the US. The reason for these salaries is that it's just expensive. Renting a 2-bedroom, one to sleep in and one to use as a set, could easily be $5K a month, which would be about $60K a year. You might be able to save some money by moving to worse neighborhoods, but then you dramatically increase the chance of getting robbed. Higher income and higher expenses also means that annual fees feel less bad. What works for me right now wouldn't have worked for me as a student and would probably be tougher in a lower cost of living city. It's not that one's better than the other, it's just playing your situation and optimizing for it. But yeah, I wanted to set the table since these type of videos tend to anger a lot of new people. With that said, big favors to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm and to balance that out. And if you are new and this feels helpful, then consider subscribing. Starting off, let's look at food. The numbers are going to look crazy, but we're actually below average and below a lot of other friends we have, so I think we're in a good spot. For a lot of two-person households, it's not uncommon to be at $2,500 or $3K for food, so that's dining and delivery, and then $1K for groceries. Doing groceries first, we often shop at Trader Joe's for a lot of lazy food, Whole Foods when stuff is on sale, the butcher shop for meat stuff, so we have a place we go to, and then Asian marts for specialty items. For two people, we're at about $300 to $700 for groceries per month. I'd say about $500 average. The spikes are usually the bulk purchases and often from Whole Foods when stuff's on sale. Recently and heading into 2026, we've been running 2 Citi custom cash cards as the setup, and the main reason is the 5% back in your top category, which includes grocery stores. It is only on up to $500 in spend per billing cycle per card, but we have 2 of them and this works. What's the way to say this without getting in trouble for using trademark terms that I don't have the right to use? Using the periodic table, let's use number 73, AU. We were running the AU but upgraded to number 78, the PT, or also known as the mirror card. Main reason being how the math worked out. I have zero qualms about coupon books, especially when they're credits that I actually use. What I don't like are the ones I don't use, so where I might be able to bank it, but if I don't like Dunkin', then that doesn't make sense. Same thing if you don't like the dining partners they have, then it doesn't really work. I feel like for whatever reason, we used to do more takeout, but now we either eat at home or we go out. Nothing wrong with the AU, but just depends on you. Also, nothing against doing DoorDash or doing takeout, since people do like it and have reasons. When we eat out, we come in below a lot of other people. Again, food seems to be a big category across the board here, where 2 to 3K doesn't seem abnormal, especially if your income can sustain it. We're not a low number by any means, but just nothing too crazy. I would say we normally float around $1,200 to $1,700, maybe $2K when we're doing a bigger trip and eating out more. Also, this is for 2 people, so $1,200 would be $600 each. The lower numbers tend to be when we're just eating out ourselves and more value focused. Main reason being that we do a lot of happy hours and don't order drinks. In larger groups though, where the bill's split evenly and everyone's ordering 2 drinks that are $25 each, then it becomes tougher. You're kind of incentivized to also order drinks because otherwise if the bill's being split evenly, you're losing out. When we travel, we're eating out every meal because that's kind of the point of the trip and why we're there anyways, so that works out. Also, ironically, for a lot of places we go, the food ends up being cheaper than the Bay Area. The main card we're using here is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which offers 3x back on dining. There is a $7.95 annual fee, but with the credits, it becomes a break-even, if not a keeper card, but depends on you there. We have debated running other setups, but either it doesn't earn points that we like, or the cap is prohibitive, or it's for a card where it sounds good, but maybe we don't really benefit from the timing. The benefit of groceries and dining though is that there's a ton of options. On the lower spend end, the Citi Custom Cash puts in work and is a pretty awesome pickup. If you want to stay within the Chase ecosystem, the Chase Freedom Unlimited offers 3% back on dining, and it's a no annual fee card. The cash back here is earned as points, meaning you have more upside if you do get the other cards later. If you are interested in this card, there is a limited time offer for $300 bonus after you spend $500 on purchases in the first 3 months from account opening. No annual fee, so it doesn't hurt you, and a good addition to pretty much any roster. For a lot of people, it's going to be a starter, but even if it shifts to a bench player, that's not bad. On a side note, if you are someone that wants to learn about cards and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website AskSebby.com and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that they make sense for you, but otherwise it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. For the other cards we talked about, if you are debating them, I'd recommend running the numbers and making an educated decision. For most, if not all, the annual fee cards, we have calculators that should pop up if you Google card name worth it, AskSebby. End of the day, all cards can make sense, but they need to make sense for you. The other big flexible one is tech stuff and kind of set stuff for YouTube. So we do buy stuff for the set in the same way that if you had a podcast, you had stuff in the background, or if you're doing more of a traditional media thing. Various items including figurines, books, and other art and stuff. Circling back to food, we've noticed that if we use something a lot, let's say an air fryer, then we might as well buy a better version because we end up using it even more. We did have an older air fryer and that was fine, but it was smoking up the house whenever we made chicken or salmon. So much so that we bought parchment paper, that didn't really help, and then we bought a fan afterwards, which did, but still not ideal. For this situation, we ended up finding a good Black Friday deal and bought a Breville. If you end up using an item every day, the cost per use ends up being pretty reasonable. Also ended up getting a Matic this year, which has been pretty amazing. For stuff like dishes, we do it every day, but for vacuuming, that's more once a week or once every 2 weeks. With the Matic, we've been able to do it every day, and it's been pretty convenient. It's not the best for deep cleaning, but it's doing more surface level stuff, and the more of that you do, the less deep cleaning you have to do. If you are buying tech stuff from Amazon, consider the Prime Visa card. Right now, the offer is 66% higher. Limited time offers $250 gift card upon approval, exclusively for Prime members. The standard is a $150 gift card with all the other terms being equal. You do need to have a Prime membership, but otherwise no annual fee for the card itself. If you end up losing Prime while holding the card, they'll downgrade you to the non-Prime version, which still isn't bad. For the Prime version, you're getting 5% back on Amazon, Amazon Fresh, and Whole Foods Market. Non-Prime is 3%. Great low-hanging fruit offer, especially if you already have Amazon Prime. Our largest expense at home is rent. Again, very much a function of living in a high cost of living city. It's one of the places and the top place where the median rent payments are actually cheaper than the median mortgage payments. That's before paying HOA fees or other maintenance you'd have to do, and the fact that a lot of these older apartments are actually rent controlled. But yeah, the numbers aggressively shift towards renting. We mostly end up using the rent payments to hit minimum spend, and also to help with spend incentives. There are other cards where you can earn points on your rent, but I feel like it's less valuable by our math at least. For example, we stack a bunch of hotel cards, given that you can earn free night rewards at 15K and 30K. Not for everyone, but sitting down and mapping it out, it just makes more sense for us. Pretty much exactly the same with taxes. If you have investment income or you run a business, then it's a bit different than having normal W-2 income. In a lot of cases, instead of getting your taxes withheld, you're making estimated tax payments by yourself. So same idea as withholding, but you're doing the withholding and the sending. If you're doing minimum spends or chasing spend incentives, then this can be pretty amazing since you can do it for 1.75% for each of the payments. For a lot of cards out there, the benefits from having the elite status that you're earning now, and also free nights and other incentives make more sense than the 1.75%. Put another way, would you pay 1.75% to get, let's say, 10% or 20%? If you're in finance, sales, or business development, where bonuses play a pretty big role, then you could also use that as well. But yeah, not uncommon to have the taxes for that bonus not withheld. That way you do the payment yourself. Same thing if you work in tech with RSUs and withholding there. Travel is a bit of a weird one and can get messy. So we have a lot of travel cards. The main reason they're viable are the credits. For example, I'm losing Delta Diamond status this year, mostly because for work, I've been flying United, and I should hit 1K over there, currently at Platinum. Even then, I probably am going to keep the flagship Delta card, given that it makes sense. The rationale being that even at a $650 annual fee, with credits I actually use, I'm getting up to $560. I use Uber, I stay at hotels, that's fine, and Resi's easy, we go to those places anyways. Without the credits, I would 100% cancel. Status-wise with Delta, I am coming in at silver, and probably potentially gold for next year. Even if I completely lose Delta status, I'd still want their cards for the free checked bags and for the other benefits for things like ski trips. Case in point, I already have 2 trips to Utah booked, and we're flying Delta. In terms of booking the flight itself, unless there's a reason to use their card, we generally opt for the other flagship cards. For hotels, we end up doing the same thing, flagship cards, or the specific hotel brand. We have stacked pretty much every single hotel card out there that has a free night. On our end, we're more than happy to pay X to get X plus Y value. If I was a student and wasn't traveling, then that wouldn't make any sense, but in a higher cost of living city, if I'm traveling a ton every month or so, then it's pretty easy. You're traveling anyways, and it's good to have those nights in your back pocket for those weird times where it's otherwise really expensive out of pocket. As crazy as it sounds, I'm more than happy to buy 8 or 10 coupon books if I'm actually using the credits and I'm getting value. To me, these are keeper cards since they come with free nights that cover the annual fee if you travel. On top of that, you're getting elite status and other benefits. This also is a stance I've had for a long time now, pretty much years, and there were hotel keeper cards for a reason. Okay, going to the absurd side of things, we also have a stack of PT cards. So funny enough, we both had AUs before, but we upgraded them to PTs because the credits made more sense. For the most part, we're able to use these credits pretty easily without forcing any behavior. The only exception, and one that's a bit on the fence, is the Aura Ring credit, but other than that, it's fine. It's less forcing myself to do something and more keeping track of which cards have which credits that I still need to use. So I'm going to eat at those places anyways, but it's making sure I use the right card. Even though I am definitely an edge case, there were a lot of couples that were pulling out 4 to 6 of these mirror cards for dinners towards the end of quarters, so effectively 2 to 3 each, and it seems like other people also stack these cards. Again, the core question is expected value. For some people, even one of these wouldn't make any sense. Lululemon's fine right now, and I'm pretty much just updating my wardrobe and adding things I want, but it is going to get interesting for next year. At a certain point, I do worry that I'm going to hit a cap there, but then my sister probably would appreciate updating her wardrobe, so still works out. Unrelated, but I am a bit angry at myself for not buying some Lululemon stock when they announced a credit, especially since it seems like the credit has brought in new clientele, and it's been a net positive. If you're looking for a new brokerage, Moomoo has a pretty good welcome bonus. You get between $20 and $1,000 in NVIDIA stock, depending on how much you deposit. You also get 8.1% APY on uninvested cash for the first 3 months. There are terms to watch out for. For all the levels, you need to maintain assets for 60 days to get the bonus, but it feels pretty fair. The math isn't bad either. So for level 1, you're getting 20%, and annualized, that's 203%. The other levels are more reasonable, but annualized are still pretty awesome, considering that the long-term average annualized return for the US stock market is about 6 to 10%. Also a reminder that this can be invested, so you're not just holding cash. You could easily make a deposit, invest in a small basket of stocks, let's say 3 to 10 positions, and get the best of both worlds of the equity exposure, but also the welcome bonus. Offer runs until end of the year. I'll leave a link down below if you're curious. Outside of the setup and the stack of cards, I am adding new cards, mostly chasing intro bonuses for travel cards and testing it for a year. I am trying to get more business cards right now, so staying under 524 while I still can before hitting the personal side very hard. The main concern is that the business side ends up drying up, so that opportunity might close. One that I do need to pick up relatively soon though is the Emirates one. In order to book Emirates first class, you now need to have silver status. With the $99 annual fee card, you get Emirates silver status for the first year. So I have one Emirates flight already booked, and I need to book the other one for the A380 for the other first class so we can compare the two. I also did transfer points in for this, so I am working against the clock. So in the short term, business cards and cards I need for other purposes that have strong travel offers. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. And if you're curious, all legal affiliate disclosures can also be found below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a calendar emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, what cards do you use for your dining and groceries? Number 2, what's your other big categories that you focus on or try to optimize for? Lastly, number 3, are you stacking any cards, or does that sound a bit too insane? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favor, thumbs up, share this, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.